Hello and welcome to episode 48 of the Talking Wednesday podcast. I will name this the number of this podcast, even though I wasn't going to do that because we were going to keep the podcasts unnumbered when we did these specials that were recorded. But we are recording this close enough that I feel confident that this is going to be the next podcast out. And I think it's the perfect time for it because the way it's shaping up, we're not trying to date these podcasts. This is going to be the mid-season review episode. We are trying to make sure that we've got some content over the Christmas break. We are asking people for some input on that. If the input hasn't been there, there's a chance that you don't get much Talking Wednesday over Christmas.
Please say something because it'll be nice.
The thing is, though, we're talking about this now. I'm kind of saying this on the podcast because if there's not been enough write-ins, and I've tried in the Discord and I've tried in the chat, and people are busy, that's fine. That might be why there's one less episode over Christmas or New Year, because that episode where I was going to do like a mailbag or something ain't going to be there because there's not been enough interaction in that. And that's part of the community side of this podcast. We want those write-ins for that sort of thing. I always said some people write one and then get miffed that we've not put it, so they never comment again, or they comment like ages and ages down the line. If you keep interacting when we get to these sort of stuff and keep in the loop, these are the ones where I'm like, right, that's cool, that's cool. But it's the festive period. We are taking some time for ourselves as much as we can, really, at the minute. So we are going to do the mid-season review because it is the right sort of time, really, for Wednesday. We don't know currently what's happening. They've just called in real time of the time I'm recording this. Games are being called off.
Our game called off. Donny game called off. I think Crew game called off. There's a lot of games getting called off all left, right, and centre.
There's a push from the Premier League to halt football till January.
They like to do. Well, I read that they're talking about trying to do a winter break till Feb.
Oh right, through that sort of thing. Well,
yeah,
they've pushed for a winter break in itself for a long time, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was sort of another way of this, and it helps.
But this time it will be a winter. I think it will be a winter break throughout of all leagues, not just the Premier.
I understand it. I understand the necessity of it. I think it's difficult at the minute without getting too political, because when you're seeing the level of hypocrisy on show, and I don't even think that's getting too political now, because I think no matter which way you lean, there's hypocrisy right in front of our faces. Do you know what I mean?
I read some more today, and it just made me feel really, really rubbish, because it's like we've just got mug on our face.
It's why I understand why people. You've always got to listen to the science, right? But I understand why when the person who's responsible for saying that science, you're not going to trust him anymore. So people are getting angrier. People are tired now. It feels like all this could have been avoided. We all were saying, some of us were saying this last year about it's all avoidable. Now it's just another wave of that. It's tiring. And I'll be honest, personally, I would hate football to get cancelled over Christmas because it's one of the best things about the Christmas period from a fan of football's perspective. I've got to look at the bigger picture here, but the bigger picture is getting even tiresome for me now, who's been, everybody stay safe, do all that. Because if we'd have managed our way out of a paper bag, we'd have been able to control this a little bit better than it's been controlled. So it's frustrating now, very frustrating. But that's not very Christmassy, is it? It's not.
No, but my jumper is.
No, it is. You've got a Christmas jumper on. I've not put mine on, but I might do for that mailbag if we do it. Yes, it is the festive period.
It is.
Sheffield
Wednesday. Are you all ready
for
Christmas?
I am currently wrapping, actually. And I have got all the presents in the other room. And after we've recorded this, I've got to go and buy some last minute bits just to add to some presents. But I have mainly got what I need to get doing. I'm going away as well for a couple of days. Got to wrap up some work things going away. Seeing my friend Adam, for long time viewers of the channel, I've seen him popped up on this channel before. We try and do a Christmas visit usually, so I'm going to go see him for a couple of days, and then we're all in for Christmas, really. So hopefully we can have a fairly uninterrupted one this Christmas. And it's not the mental cases of it was last year, where we were all being good and people were partying, So, well, let's hope there's none of that this year. Speaking of, by the way, both of my workplaces that I do a bit of work for have cancelled their Christmas parties this year. So if they can do it, anyone can do it, right?
Yep.
And that's this year, Not even last year when we all had to cancel them.
I'm meant to be going to a Christmas family meal on Sunday, but at this moment in time, I can't see that happening.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, because it's all up in the air.
You've not had COVID, have you?
No, we've done very well not to, considering my wife worked with the NHS.
No, that is impressive. I mean, like, obviously, because I've had it, and it's kind of gone through a bit of my family now as well. It's one where I've pretty much got the maximum protection from it, but even I'm still like, look, I've got to look at it from the lens of not being a hypocrite now, you know? So it's a case of, I've been saying stay safe through all of it because I wanted to stay safe myself. And I'm still going to have that lens, even though I've not, because you can carry it, you can do all of those things. So now it's sort of a case of just trying to be a responsible person, but I have been tired for it even before I got it, of all the inconsistency in the process of it, you know? It's tiresome. I think we're all tired of it now. I can't wait to not talk about it anymore.
It's getting to that point where eventually something's got to give, but I don't know what's going to give the people or the government, and so we'll see what happens. It's if you're trying to do that kind of tug of war kind of thing, it's very much very close to everything happening. And with our game being called off, apparently there's been some cases in our camp, so get well soon, hope everything's fine, and finger crossed. One of those things is, let's hope Darren Moore don't get it again, because he was very poorly last time with it.
Yeah, I'm really obviously best wishes to all of them.
Yeah,
it's quite telling that the Christmas do was last week, wasn't it? You know, so there's all sorts of that. I assume they've probably had +1s to that, things like that. That's all it takes, you know, and we've seen it in football, Christmas do's that have been kicking off, that sort of thing. So allegedly, there's some reports that that's potentially where it's come from, but we don't know the specifics. So it would be interesting to see. But obviously, everybody stay safe. I'd hope with these athletes in fine condition, even though it can affect you if you're in fine condition, I hope that they are all decent and stay safe through it. Yeah. But it's just, I can't wait till hopefully next year we don't have to talk about all this. We were saying all this last year at Christmas, you know. There's 3 ways to contain a pandemic, you know. There's 3 ways to proceed through a pandemic. There's the sort of crush mentality where you crush through it, but that requires a whole world effort of basically being as harsh as possible and crushing elements of the virus. There's delay and vaccinate, which is the most humane way to do it, and the way we should have all decided to do it straight away rather than talks of, which is the third, the herd immunity, racing through it. Pandemic can be over in a few months if you race through it. It can be over in about a year, you know, because everyone's dead, right? In the race through it one. Everyone who's going to die from it is dead, basically, and no vaccination. Delay and vaccinate was the best way to do it.
Yeah.
But
the best country that handled it was New Zealand.
Yeah.
And some of the, I think Sweden and Finland did quite well because they managed to keep everything fine. And
it's quite obvious we can't control this now, right?
No.
And no matter what your stance on vaccination is, we're not going to talk about that. I think Klopp's been saying some brilliant things lately. But I think it's a case of, we clearly can't contain this. We clearly can't prevent it completely. Flu jabs have been around for a long time. COVID is one of those things that if we have got the plan is clearly now, we can't fight against it. Give as many people of the vaccine as possible. Try and protect the most vulnerable through it and eventually get back to some sort of normality. However, there's just so many variables around that at the minute, you know, and it's the difficulty there. But thought we'd mention that at the start because we don't know where this podcast is going to land with it all. So hopefully
we may have to halfway through January be going, right, we're going to Talking Wednesday, but it might be Talking Wednesday in a FIFA sense because we don't have any game to talk about.
Yeah, well, I will say, even if they start messing around with stuff, this is technically licensed work. This is technically work what we're doing. Yeah. So we would still do our special. We both we both do our tests, make sure we're both vaccinated people. We'd follow all the guidelines, and we would still do that in-person episode because we've been waiting for so long. And you think podcasts don't shut down. Do you know what I mean?
If anything, more popped up during the pandemic. The thing I got, this load that I listened to during the pandemic is like, we'd love to do a new episode for you, but we're really busy at the minute. We're both working, so we can't get you that episode. And it's like, it was just something to do.
Yeah. No, it was, we'll talk about all the procedures and the way it was born out of it there. And obviously there's a reason this podcast tailed a little bit It's because I've not been able to put the same level of effort I was into it. This podcast was, hitting really, really strong numbers, and it's settled, obviously, because it does. But it's every time I do put the effort in for a week, you see the numbers come straight back up. And I'm putting as much effort into it as I can at the minute, which is basically just getting the podcast out every week, because of how busy I am. But I did say I'd keep it constant, and it's something we've managed so far. So, right. That is the intro to this episode. This is going to be the mid-season review. We're going to talk about our signings. We're going to talk about the season overall, a little bit about what we can do next. We're going to do some more looking to the future episodes, maybe another special around New Year. Probably in the New Year, we'll do one that's been pre-recorded and we'll chat about. And we should be back to you by the time games are supposedly coming back in January, sort of mid-January, early mid-January, whatever that weekend is. That should be
at the moment, we still don't know if the Sunderland game going ahead or anything.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens when it comes around to that. But let's talk about Sheffield Wednesday's season so far. So it was a season that started with optimism. There'd been a clear out. It had been spoken about that Wednesday definitely needed a rebuild. Everybody in the summer was praising Darren Moore for doing a job with little, because a lot of people do tend to forget that there's been the embargo there. We've not been able to sign players. Every player's had to be free. We have signed permanents, funnily enough, players under contract, but they've agreed to terminations and free transfers and things like that. So there's been a lot of logistics to build a squad. And the signs of Darren Moore bringing in these players and working with Chansiri in that way, a lot of people were saying, and a lot of people have said, this is a better squad than we had, later. Later last season. This is a better squad than we had then.
It was a really weird pre-season as well when you look at the pre-season game, because we had the lot to Celtic, then we beat Chester, beat Alfreton, lost to Barnsley, lost to West Brom, and then beat Port Vale. And if you've ever seen Wednesday's stats, if we have a really good pre-season, it normally means we're in for a bad season.
Yeah.
Because that's how it normally goes. Whenever I've seen pre-season games and it's all been bad and it's been losses, I'm like, great, we're better on for the rest of the season. And the players we were getting in, there were times where we were like, are we going to have a squad? Are we going to have players in? Because it took a long time for some of these players to get in. And then suddenly they all came at once.
Yeah.
And just on that bit alone, the recruitment side of it, you just got to praise Darren Moore and the people around him for what they've done, because it's quite impressive that bringing in the players and the quality with zero money to spend.
Definitely. Well, that pre-season was interesting, as you said. We've got a lot of things to look at as the season kicked off. We started at Charlton, so Charlton were a big test for us, and it was a 0-0. So Wednesday started with a 0-0 against Charlton. Optimism still there. Oh, this team's going to gel. Fast forward a week to Doncaster. That was an ideal test, Darren Moore's former club coming to Hillsborough and Wednesday getting a 2-0 win on the 14th of August. The optimism starts to build there, especially when you carry it on. And we don't play very well the following Tuesday at Fleetwood. So
we nick it.
We're at Hillsborough. Fleetwood have come to Hillsborough, but we get that 1-0 win. I remember watching that and being like, we've not been great here, but if we're getting the wins, there was talks about getting the wins, and we would, if we're getting the wins in these circumstances, that's what Wednesday don't usually do. And then Rotherham, this is our fourth match, and we win at Rotherham 2-0. Look at what Rotherham are doing now. Yep. Wednesday, newly relegated, get a 2-0 win away from home. That first four matches couldn't really go much better, apart from maybe getting the full three at Charlton. That is the perfect four.
The Rotherham game is where we lose mass, and that's where we start to see a big problem in that midfield in terms of our cover.
Luongo goes out, and then it goes, what do we do in this midfield? But remember, in those early games, Adeniran were getting some game time, and we were like, who's this guy? Because we'd not really seen him, and we've got a gem here, and there was the talks of that early on. We couldn't make it. I think if we'd have made that full five, there'd have been absolute happy clapping all the way through. But Morecambe beating us at Morecambe, I remember us being all right in that match as well.
Yeah,
but
we absolutely battered them, and it was one of those games where you were watching it going, we're going to have to score one of these or they're going to catch us out. And they did that.
Yeah.
And this is where we start to see Wednesday of old where creating enough chances, but we can't actually score. And we're like, have we actually got a goal scorer in this team to actually get us forward and do what we need to do? Because you look at what we let go, you're like, where are the goals going to come from? Because to start off with, a lot were just coming from midfield.
Yeah. No, that's true. We went into the Pizza Cup after that game and battered the Newcastle under-21s.
Yeah, we did.
3-0. And it brought us back on, and then we thought, right, back into the league, pick ourselves up against Plymouth, Ryan Lowe's Plymouth. They're a good side, but we're Wednesday. Yeah. We can... And they batter us.
They absolutely did us.
3-0, and absolute battering.
This is where we start to see a little bit of Bailey Peacock Farrell's... You can tell he don't play regular, let's put it that way. And why he might be on loan at us. Because to start at that beginning bit, we were singing his praises, he was saving penalties. It was great. The Plymouth game, you start to see little bits. And I think this was the game where you said on the podcast, look, I said Jack Hunt's got an issue. He got sat down on his backside for their first. And it's like, see, it's there.
When his legs were, the first signs that his legs were going, I was like, he's not the player we remember really here. He's still got it going forward, but the defending, like that was always a issue with Jack Hunt because he could cross and get forward, but getting back he wasn't great. And the fact he's slower now didn't help, and that was the signs there. So that sort of like brought us on to a couple of 1-1 results. Shrewsbury, that was a frustrating 1-1. We weren't happy with that. We felt like we should have been doing better.
Sido first goal.
Yeah, true. One of his only.
Yeah.
Ipswich Town away again next. That was a 1-1. We were actually all right with that because we thought Ipswich have got a good side, but there was some murmurs in the fan base that they've not gelled. They should be doing a lot better. They've got good players on paper. Maybe we should be getting the points here. This is where the murmurs were like, Darren Moore is not consistent. The tactics here, it feels like we're not playing. We're not really taking off the shackles. Bear in mind, we had players out here. We didn't have Windass. We didn't, we had players picking up knocks here and there. The injuries have started to creep in by this point in September. But then on the 28th, we went to Wigan and we were really good.
We were very good.
We were very good against Wigan.
The nice thing about the Wigan game after the Ipswich game, after the blunder from Bailey, which went everywhere.
Which is a point, because that's the thing. That was an individual error, which meant we didn't get 3 points against Ipswich Town, which a lot of people, I think, at the time forgot. That's if you look at the bigger picture here, even if you're looking at the scores, you forget that 1-1 wasn't really Wednesday 1-1. It was a 1-0 performance up until the end when a blunder pretty much cost us. But that
Wigan game, we really played well. We played some good attacking football. And you could see what we were trying to do. That was the nice thing. You could see little bits of this playing from the back, how it could work if you get it right.
Yeah.
But you also had the thing where you're looking at this, you're looking at games that were coming up. It's like, right, we can kick on now. And we never got that little kick on going into it. It was always a stutter, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And the stutter came again because... God, I vlogged this. I think it's the only game I've vlogged this season because I don't like, I'm not a massive get the camera out. I think it can look a bit cringe sometimes. I try and do it in the least cringy way possible. But at Hillsborough, Oxford United, this result this was very much a case of like where I went, oh God, this is League One, innit?
Yep.
Because we played very well. The linesmen appeared to have no eyes. It was one of those typical ones where Oxford started... I was speaking to their fans and they were going, we don't usually play like this. We've had to resort to League One tactics because they started like time wasting after their first goal.
Wasn't this the game where Shadipo had his goal disallowed?
No, I don't think it was.
Was that Shrewsbury? Might have been Shrewsbury.
Yeah, the Oxford one was where they got a goal and just sat down for a long time.
Yeah.
And then,
to be fair, their second was superb.
But Wednesday got back into it and they were doing it, and then it was the sucker punch at Oxford coming into the latter stages again. They scored. They did the tactics. That game plan was perfect with Oxford that time. But again, it wasn't it wasn't so much the way that they're used to playing, but apparently Oxford have become a bit one of those teams this season. Apparently, that's what I've heard. They've done it in quite a few matches, but if it's getting the results, it's getting the results, you know. Then we went on to Mansfield, a memory of that lad running all the way up the pitch when he scored a goal and conking out before he actually got there.
Only just beat them though. Took a 90-minute.
We did. We played a lot. We rotated. We rotated for that match though. Tried some players out, which is what the Pizza Cup was quite good for. Then we went at home on the 9th of October. Bolton came to us. Kieran Lee returning to Wednesday. Yeah. Wednesday got a 1-0 win there. Bolton weren't too happy about it. Thought they could have at least got a point. They were saying, I remember, around that. But I thought we were good for the win. And it was just a sign of decent things for Wednesday there, really.
Yeah.
And you think, we'll take this to Wimbledon and we will get the 3 points. And obviously, because we think that, it's 2-2.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that started a real chain of October draws. You pretty much.
But it also started. We started looking at the games a little bit more, and this is where a lot of people are like going, "Is Darren Moore the right man?" Just because of how many times it was like a 90 or 95th or 90, and it was always from the 80th minute onwards. We just turned off.
Yeah. So let's just look at these results, right? Because this was the margins here. AFC Wimbledon, Sheffield Wednesday, the 16th of October, 2-2. Cambridge United, Sheffield Wednesday, 19th of October, 1-1. Sheffield Wednesday, Lincoln City, 23rd of October, 1-1. Cheltenham Town, Sheffield Wednesday, 30th October, 2-2. Late conceding from Wednesday in these matches. Yeah. Individual errors in these matches. Defence not really, working as a defence here. This was before Dunkley's rise. This was when we couldn't really...
This was also when we were making a makeshift defence with Johnson at the back. Johnson was starting to play that kind of position. We're all going, he's a winger. Why is he playing left back?
Yeah, but it's interesting actually because Johnson's done better later on as we'll get that as sort of like that centre back role coming out than he was at left back during that period. But then it was a really convincing win as November started. Sunderland, Wednesday beat them 3-0. Yeah. Where it was like we'd saved up all our goals, and I've been saying a lot this season so far, Wednesday aren't that clinical, but we're creating chances, and it was the time where we were finishing our chances against Sunderland, and we looked brilliant. And I think if I remember rightly, wasn't Theo quite a standout in this one? Because Theo had started to come in, and it was the rise of the... This is the point where I was saying it's November. Those loan players have had time to gel now. They're coming in. And this is what loan players are meant to do. They come in, they bed in, and before Christmas, they get a run in, and then hopefully that sets them up for the rest of the season. This Sunderland game was a great sign of that. And what was a decent sign, actually, is the following week, we played Plymouth in the FA Cup. Plymouth, who quite battered us, and it was a 0-0 draw, and we were actually better than Plymouth in that game, in that tie. So it looked like things were coming back round Wednesday, because then Pizza Cup comes, we beat Harrogate Town 4-0.
Yep.
Granted, Harrogate Town actually didn't really take their chances, and we took all of ours in that game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And then we played Gillingham, and it's another 1-1, and it's getting tight. We're like, come on, we're resetting, and we're getting back to these 1-1s. So at this point, we've got a replay against Plymouth, and we just want to kind of get it out of the way. But that embarrassing 3-0 was really like, I got angry at that result, because you do not get dunked out in the first round.
No one turned up. Yeah. And it was the first time in 100 years we've been dumped out the first round. But as soon as that got said on telly, we were all like, well, that's us out.
Yep.
We're not doing this now. Because we're one for breaking records of last year and the season before shown.
It was that match where, just as you said, nobody turned up. So we needed a real fight back in the league, because that was the 16th of November. We had matches on the 20th and the 23rd. That were must-wins in my eyes. And Accrington Stanley was one of those that nearly didn't happen, but we got the 3-2 win away from home. And that was like, right, okay, we can fight. I think, if I recall rightly, we conceded first in that match, and it was one of the ones where we clawed our way. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Sorry. This is the one where we were 3-0 up.
Sorry, yeah.
We were 3-0 up at half-time. And then...
You're completely right. I'm getting the matches mixed up here because they're next to each other. This is the one where we nearly threw it away. But it was the first time that we didn't fully throw it away. And we were like, okay, Could have been worse, but yeah, we were 3-0. Yeah, of course we were. That was a really bad game. We were 3-0 up, weren't we?
It was like that whole thing, like, oh God, it's not going to happen again when they're on 1. It's like, right, we got this, we're fine, we turn the corner, second one goes on. Oh no, it's happening again.
Yeah, that was fun. But then we come to MK Dons and we concede first.
Yes. And let's be fair, that first goal they got was a wonder strike.
It was. And it
really was.
I remember watching that game and I was tweeting at the time going, we need to get a result out of this because we are playing so well. MK Dons have not been in the game and they've scored a wonder goal. We get the equaliser and then we do the sort of late game win, which is massive for us. Wednesday coming from behind and getting the result.
But the return of Josh Windass as well, because they give Josh Windass back. And he didn't know what to do. And one of the best things I love about the celebration, Shea Dunkley just pushing him toward the crowd going, go on then. You go. What do you do? But there's also that bit of me going, don't push him too hard. He's just come back from injury. Don't injure him again.
No, that's true. And obviously he was back for the Wickham game as well. What did you think of the Wickham game, the one that ended in 2-2 just after the MK Dons game?
We had a good chance in that one. We came back into it. It was, they go first. We came back into it. This is the one where we had the medical emergency, which in hindsight actually helped because it got Darren Moore to reset us a little bit.
Yeah.
But we gave away a silly free kick and that was the whole thing. And we keep doing this where we give silly free kicks away and it puts us in danger because we concede a lot of set piece goals.
That's been a telltale sign this season, yeah.
And it was coming up to this game like Wickham and MK Don where you were seeing Shea Dunkley with these headers that he kept on doing, which I was like, great, brilliant, but can you vary it because someone's going to work this out? Because every time, I think it was in the MK Don game, I think we had like 7 or 6 corners in the first half alone, and we were just aiming for Dunkley. But the Wickham game, it showed that we still had that fight and there was something in there.
We were constantly giving but before that reset, we were constantly giving the ball away. And I just remember that really tainting my view of the game because at the end I was like, you know what, I'll take a point. Even though after that we were miles the better side. But because we were so wasteful before that reset, I was just thinking, we're still not great on the ball, are we? No. But I took the point at the time, but that could have been 3 because we were good that day after that reset. But it showed we could reset. Darren Moore could go in there and do a bit with the tactics.
Also,
however,
Josh Windass second goal.
Exactly. What didn't help the next week was getting dunked out of the...
No, it didn't.
The cup by the pizza cup by Hartlepool.
And the thing that annoyed me about this game, there were players who should be showing what they want to be. Fringe players.
Players that have been knocking on Darren Moore's door saying, I need to be playing, give me a chance to play, that turned up and showed why they should not be doing that. They should not be anywhere near that door. And I think they should be shining their place on the bench.
Yeah. I think they've got to get the wood carve and just put the name there permanently.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this was the game where Darren Moore got angry.
Yes.
Afterwards.
Yeah, it was good to see. It was a change because a lot of what people were saying consistently about Darren Moore this season was he's always saying the same things and, the lads have done well. I'm really appreciating the effort from the lads and a lot of erms in there as well.
Yeah.
But this one where he came out and he was like, it's not acceptable for Sheffield Wednesday, really, is it? And he was, that's not an exact quote, by the way, but you could tell from his demeanour it changed. A lot of the fringe players, he put the trust in there. I remember him playing his system. He played the same system that had been doing well for us in the league the past few matches. He played it with these fringe players in to try and see how they fit into it, and they just fell apart.
Wasn't it the game where Barry Bannon had to come on at half time? We made
on his birthday. On his birthday, yeah. And then we had Portsmouth versus Wednesday. This was an awkward game. We did quite well. We kept them quite quiet, but the red card did sort of mean we had to just sit on it after a while. After that,
that red card also showed me though that this team can dig in and defend well. Bailey stepped up, Palmer stepped up, Johnson stepped, and that game only 2 recognised proper defenders on the pitch. You got to remember, coming into Sunday game, we were making makeshift defenders out of this. And what the nice thing that had come out of a couple of these games is Brennan, the youngster, who now put himself a 13 player.
Definitely.
Really
you know what? I said his first couple of games, he was being carried, which you need to be in those games. That wasn't a criticism. But he's finding his feet now. And with somebody next to him, he needs a competent leader next to him, someone that can tell him what to do and, keep him alert. But if he develops that way as a Wednesday, I'm all for it. Keep him in, but keep him with the proper personnel around him to build him, and really let him see his potential out with us and do it the right way and let him come into the club this way. And then the most recent match, we're all the way up to there now.
Yep.
Sheffield Wednesday versus Crewe. 2-0 win. We've the last match we can talk about today is a win.
Yep. And they started an 11-game unbeaten run where we hadn't done that in 3 years. And we were turning corners. When we had that MK Don game, that was the first time since 2019 we'd come back from behind to win at home. We still had the record away, which needs to get done, but we're looking more positive. We're looking like there's something in there, really. And you've got to look at the last couple of games, considering we don't have defenders at the minute. That's our weak point. We had done very, very well against some very good teams who were up there for promotion.
No, we've made a good account of ourselves so far this season. I think there's been a lot of frustrating draws, but we're not in the worst position. Definitely not. We're in 7th. We're in 7th, pretty much joint for playoffs at the minute. If we look at our record, we've got a record of 9-10-3. 9 wins, 10 draws, 3 losses. It's a lot of draws. A lot of draws for a team that wants to be up there. You want a few more of those to be wins. 37 points, 1.68, so 1.7 a game. That's so close to the 2 you need for promotion form. We've just got to get it up there a little bit more. Scrap a few of those draws and you get there. We're better at home, which is nice because Wednesday have not always been that. 19 points at home, but it is quite close. 18 points away. So it's only a point in it.
It's the pre-Christmas kind of thing. If we were having the game kind of thing, we could have done something that we haven't done since 2011, 2012. We'll get to 40 points pre-Christmas.
Yeah,
and
we could.
The closest it came to were Monk and Carlos on 39 and 37. Yeah. And that, Darren Moore needs a lot of praise for that.
Which one was 37, Carlos or Monk?
No, Carlos.
So we're on the same points as Carlos. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's different leagues, different game numbers and things like that, but at this stage, I don't know if we played the same games, we would have been in the championship.
No.
We've scored 30 goals this season so far. We can score, which is nice. Yeah. We conceded 21, which is obviously the other side of it. But we've got a positive goal difference, which is what you need to be, in firing. Yeah. Okay, so I just want to go through some stats of the players so far. Some people like stats. Liam Palmer, he's played 21 for us. He's got joint top matches played along with Barry Bannon for us. He's actually got 2 assists this season, Palmer, and he's currently sitting on 3 cards. Palmer's been good so far for me. He's been quite player.
Solid.
Barry Bannon, 2 goals so far, 4 assists. Actually, he's got 3 goals. This is not updated, I don't think, because he's just scored a screamer against Crewe. But it's got him down as 2 penalties here. So, unless that, So he's got 3 goals. And Bannon's been a Rolls Royce in this league like we thought he would be. A lot of people say we rely on him a lot, but what you can see the quality he uses when he's come out on the pitch. Bailey Peacock-Farrell's made 19 appearances for us. He's been inconsistent so far, but we'll talk about him. We're going to do a loan thing in a minute. Lee Gregory, our top scorer, on 8 goals for us, 4 assists. I
was shocked to see how high up he was in the assist column.
Yeah. He's been quite an all-rounder for us so far. Jack Hunt, 2 assists. Not bad from right back, Callum Patterson, 2 goals, 2 assists. Good old Big P there.
Yep.
Chipping in. Domi Orfer, 14 appearances for us. 3 cards in those, but he's injured, obviously. Hopefully back shortly.
Should be back soon, hopefully.
Marvin Johnson's filled in at many positions, as we've said. He's played wing. He's played wing back. He's now playing centre-back for us. He's got 1 assist in all of those games, 4 cards, so he's 1 away from a suspension. Something to bear in mind.
I don't think he is.
Is it not 5 cards in League One?
It is 5 cards, but I think we've hit the point where they can't get cancelled out soon. I think it's after 19 matches they start again.
All right, okay.
I think.
I'm not too sure on that one, but Lewis Wing is played 16 times for us, not really had that much of an impact so far. We'll talk about him when we talk about loan players. Yep. Shea Dunkley, 2 goals from centre-back for us, 15 appearances. Want to talk about him a little bit because he's been a player this season. So far, I've been really happy with how Shea Dunkley's coming on. We're seeing the player that we thought we'd see. It just took him a little while to get back to that fitness, and he's found that, Yeah. And it's good to see. Dennis Adeniran scored 3 goals for us before he was injured. So that was... it's unfortunate about his injury, but Dennis Adeniran's been a prospect and he's our player, which is nice. He's a signing we brought in. Deli Basharu's made 13 appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist. Been very good.
Really solid.
He's not been relied on too much, but he's been brought into the squad at the right time.
When you think about it, we were worried that he was going to go.
Yeah.
We were thinking, is he going to get the game time? We were saying that he needs it. And
Monk signed him and didn't use him.
Yeah. And we got this thing where you got players in those positions where that midfield is very hard to break into. But if you take your chance and you do a couple of good games, Deli Basharu is the person you look at to go, you can get still in there if you have a couple of games, because I think it was the Cambridge game he came into and he just looked solid.
Yep. Canberry, next. 13 appearances for us, 4 goals.
I wouldn't mind keeping him.
It's worth saying he's only made 8 starts.
Has he only made 8 starts and he's got 4 goals?
Yeah. He started 8 times. 13 appearances in total include the sub appearances. So he's looking all right, Canberry, isn't he? I quite like his style there. Sam Hutchinson's played 8 times for us. Could be injured for quite a while. Managed to pick up 2 cards in those 8 appearances. Jaden Brown played 10 times for us. Not really contributed too much so far apart from the 1 card. Shadipo has played 13 times for us, 7 starts, has got a goal to his name though. Shadipo's looked bright in spells, it's just the consistency we want to see from him. Berahino, 14 appearances, 4 starts, 1 goal, 1 assist. So he's not started that much, obviously. You think he's been around a lot, he does get subbed on a lot, but he's Darren Moore's not building the team around him, and he's probably wise to do so with someone like Gregory up front who is firing there, but we'll see what happens with Berahino.
It's a weird one with Berahino because I just don't. You want it to come good, and we're all quite happy when it did happen and he came in, but there's something that I don't know. This league should be quite for his for the taking.
Yeah. Then you've got Luongo, who's now made 5 appearances, 4 starts. Injured for quite a while, but when he's come on, he's been very decent, apart from Portsmouth where he got a red. But he's got the quality. He's got the quality. We're not too sure if he's going to be here for a long time, let's be honest. But if he can help us out this season, he's a great midfielder. Kieran Brennan's now made 4 appearances for us, 4 starts. The past few games he's coming through. We talked about him a little bit as he's coming through there. George Byers. By the way, if these stats are out by 1 game or something, forgive us. We're using the proper stats things. It sometimes doesn't fully update, pandemic, all of that. George Byers, 4 starts, 5 appearances, 1 assist. George Byers shown flashes, but not too much so far. Joe Wildsmith has played 3 times for us, and he's done all right in a couple of those. Yeah. In stuff like the cup and stuff, he's not been too brilliant. In the where he's been called upon, where Bailey Peacock-Farrell was on international duty, he's actually really pushed Peacock-Farrell to the point of, are you going to pick up the shirt? But in the cup, not so much.
Yeah.
We've got Josh Windass, who has now made 1 start, 3 appearances for us, and scored 2 goals. Of 1 assist.
Really? That done it?
Yeah. Just if we can keep him fit for the rest of the season.
And everyone stay away from him. He's not a good player. He's rubbish.
No, he's absolutely terrible. Silaso has played 3 times for us. 1 start and 1 card. Not too much we've seen from him. We've seen some great stuff from him for the under-23s. Some great skill. Want to see a bit more from him. Lewis Gibson could potentially be coming back to us. There's talks of that. He's picked up an injury, he's gone back to Everton, but we've got him on a season-long loan. He made 1 appearance for us in the league, and we'll see whether he actually comes back.
One appearance and he looked pretty solid as well.
Yeah. And then we've signed Mendes Lang, who's made one appearance for us as well. Need to see a lot more from him. But yeah, they're the stats in terms of that. Anybody that I didn't read out with a memorable stat is because they've not got memorable stats so far, but they've got, the great thing is this is a mid-season review. They've got half a season to build
back up and get further up the stats and show what they can do. Exactly.
Now let's talk about ranking the signings. So I'm going to read these out. Jake, I want you to type away or write away. You're going to rank yours. So I'm going to read who they are. You're going to do your ranking of where you think they are as I'm talking about them, where we got them from, that sort of thing. And then while you're doing that, I'm going to do mine, because while you're talking about the ones you've just done, and then we can keep it flowing. So I'm going to start describing who they are, where they come from, the sort of deals, whether it's loans or permanence. Jake, feel free to rank them for us in your opinion. So, starting with, this is going to be 1 to 15, by the way, because we brought in 15 players in this in the summer. So the first one is Lewis Gibson. He's from the Everton under-23s. He's a loan. He's 21 years old. We talked about the injury there, but Lewis Gibson is one of the centre-backs we brought in. Marvin Johnson, we thought we were bringing as an attacking player. He's actually a permanent deal. He is 30 years old. We brought him in from Borough. He probably could have stuck around at Borough, but he wanted to get off and get game time, and I think he's a good free transfer for us. I did at the time. So we'll have to see how he does over the course of the season there. Jack Hunt, 30 years old. We know who Jack Hunt is. Former Wednesday player, right back. Came from Bristol City. We sold him to Bristol City for, I think, 1.7 million at the time. We got him back on a free. We all went, that's a solid bit of business. Unfortunately, we were relegated in the process, but George Byers, a player that we got on a free transfer despite him being under contract at Swansea. It's rumoured it's a hefty sell-on. He is 25 years old. He's actually a very good age for a player that can develop there. So George Byers, I forget he's 25, there's still more to come from him. That's probably why Swansea wanted the sell-on. The next one is a 22-year-old Jayden Brown, another free transfer from Huddersfield in the Championship. Quite highly rated at Huddersfield, but never really got that many opportunities. 22 years old, there's opportunities for him to grow. I actually think now we've probably been quite harsh on him, thinking that he's 22. At this level, he's probably needs some more experience if you consider his age against our other fullbacks. We've also brought in Silaso. Silaso, as we said a little bit more, he's 25 years old. He's a free transfer. He is our player. We just need to see a bit more from him. He came from the Eredivisie, from RKC Waalwijk. I've probably said that very, very wrong. But we need to see a bit more from him. Then Dennis Adeniran, 22 years old. Everton, played for the under-23s on a free transfer. We got him. Looks like a good bit of business, that, indeed. Especially, I forget he's young. I forget he's like 22, 23, Lewis Wing, this is a loan. I think the rest of these are loans now, yeah. So Lewis Wing is a loan from Middlesbrough. He's 26 years old, highly rated at Rotherham last season on his loan, but maybe a little bit to be desired for Wednesday. The next one is Bailey Peacock-Farrell, on loan from Premier League Burnley, 24 years old. Then we've got Florian Kamberi, who is on loan from FC St. Gallen in the Super League. He's 26 years old, centre forward, doing all right. Theo Corbeanu, one that we were quite excited about, and Wolves fans are very, very keen to see how he gets on and Canadian fans, fans of the Canadian national team are very keen because he's one of their youngsters, 19 years old.
Just got Young Player of the Year as well.
He has. Canada. That's very true. Shadipo is on loan from QPR, had a bit of an injury, 24 years old, but he has come through and he's started to make appearances for us. Oh, back to some free transfers now, actually. Saido Berahino, he's been signed on a free until the end of the season. He was a free transfer, but he was playing at Zwartwaregem. Yeah. Belgium, yep. It's easier to say that, isn't it?
Yeah.
The next free transfer is Lee Gregory, centre forward, 32 years old, now 33. He was at Stoke and he has come to us for a free. We all thought a great signing at this level. Hopefully, we were just all saying, please don't this be the year that your legs just collapse and you end up like biscuits. And last, we don't know if it's leased yet because we've not seen much of him. Nathaniel Mendez-Lang, who can play as a utility player, but mainly on the wings. What are your rankings, Jake? 1 to 15.
So, Louis Gibson, I give a 2. From what I saw from him, he looked okay, but not seen enough.
I meant in order.
You want him in order?
I want him in order.
Oh.
1 the best, 15 the worst. So you can do that based on what you've rated him. So
my bet is a tie between Bailey and Lee Gregory.
Right, okay, go from your bottom first. We've just
it go Gibson, Sal.
Okay. Give me some explanations.
So
come on, Jake, you're a podcast host. You've been doing this for a while now. We can do this on the fly.
So Gibson, for me, it's the situation we hadn't seen enough. I saw enough for it to see what he was like, but he's not enough games. We haven't seen enough to see what he's like. So I've seen great bits of play from him when he's been playing well in like the under 23s and the Pete's Cup, but where's the consistency in the league? So he gets a 2, borderline a 3, because when he can get going, he's very, very good. The Byers gets Berahino, gets a 3 because I was expecting more for him. I really was expecting him to. All the talk we heard at the start of him coming in, it was like a redemption. It was his time to show what he can do. You got Darren Moore, who's the father figure there that had been there for ages, but it just hasn't seemed to go right yet, and he needs to kick on, especially since we own him, because if he was doing well and say someone came up higher, we could get something for him, but right now I don't see anyone coming in for him. Then I've got 3 4s in Jack Hunt, Wing and Lang. So Hunt, not him, Byers and wingers look really good for me. They looked solid. Not seen much of him, to be fair, but he looked like if he can get some game time in and play recently, it'll be good. Wing started off well, but dropped off. Can't seem to get into the squad. Lang, we'd only seen him one time, but what I saw going forward, he was actually really good at trying to get the ball forward, trying to go for runs, trying to just beat that man. So Shadipo is at 5, not seen much in, but when he does get going, he's good on that wing. He can cut in. The problem I've got with Shadipo, he's the kind of player, if you go back to QPR, someone like Oxford, who had him the season before, will turn around and say, you're coming back to us, he's going to do good again. And this is the bit where I'm really worried about with some of the players who are on loan, because we could lose something we desperately need to keep. Jack Hunt and Theo are my players at 6. Hunt just been solid. I think there's defensively there are questions at times, but going forward, he's the Jack Hunt as a whole. We know what he can do. Theo's looked a lot better since he got a more run of game time. I like to see him progress more on the down more. He got a trick in him, which can be a blessing and a curse at times. He does love that step over, and that sometimes gets him caught out a bit. But that being said, he is very good at getting forward, and interviews have come out recently that the squad kind of got him out of that kind of, I'm the big boy, I'm from the Premier League. He's starting to look like a really good team player. Canberry and Adeniran at 7, I think they've just been superb. I like how they play. Dennis, I'd like to see a bit more consistency with the injury record, but for free transfer, he's absolute quality. I don't know where Darren Moore got him from in terms of who recommended him. He was very good at Wickham the following season, and it was a transfer that we knew that was coming, but it took a while to announce, but he's been really solid. He really has. Canberry's looked really good. He's a solid player. Yeah, the stat that we said earlier actually shocked me. I didn't realise he had that many goals in that many appearances, which is superb. And he runs a lot for it. He reminds me of the Atinuku, but with a little bit more workforce rate, if you know what I mean, in how he gets back at defence, because you never had that. And Bailey and Lee Gregory are 9 for me because they've just been solid. I think Bailey, with the mistakes he's made at times, he could have gone down to 8, but the game where he saved us and mind the pun, he has really helped us going into that kind of period where we look solid, a lot solid at the back when he is there. And Lee Gregory, it's just been superb. I was hoping this would be one that would work. You saw his record when he was with Millwall in League One, and he's just gone back to that Lee Gregory. The only the disappointment with him is that we haven't seen a lot of him because he's had a little niggle. But if he can get through those niggles, I think we'll be fine.
Cool. No, thanks for that, Jake. Obviously, Jake did ratings there. Ranking and ratings are slightly different.
Yes.
But I have done rankings, so we will do this in order. Obviously, where we might agree on some stuff, where we might disagree on some stuff, we can have a conversation about it. But 15th, which would have worked out on yours as well. I've got Gibson at 15th because I think I've seen him be solid for like half a match. I've got nowhere near enough to go on. Potentially it was all right, but even if you look at the other players and you're talking about potential, Gibson has to fall in 15th there for me. Then it's So, because So's got flashes. That's why it goes above Gibson for me, and So's also our player, so it makes more sense to bring him in, you know. But he's still ranking quite low because we've not seen a lot from him. There's, where he has played, I've not been fully convinced. And it's kind of a toss-up here because I've got Berahino in 13th because Berahino, for me, I wanted to be in that top 5. I wanted him to come on and be the striker that comes off the bench and scores the goals or actually affects the game a little bit more. And it's unfortunate for him and for us as a club and for me personally, especially with how well he's doing in my FIFA career mode. I have to keep saying it, The man cannot stop scoring goals for me in my career mode, but in real life, I'm watching. I'm like,
You got false hope, haven't you?
Well, yeah, because I've even changed his magic, Saido Berahino line in the FIFA game. Because let's be honest, we'd start singing it if he was scoring the amount of goals for me he's doing in the Championship mind on my FIFA career mode as well. He's been with us through the League One in the Championship. He's banging in the goals. I think he's like nearly. He's one of the highest scorers in the Championship for me, and then you get out of fantasy land and he's just not been there for us. And I've got to put Lang just above him in 12th because Lang is more of the potential. So it's kind of difficult because you can't really place him there. It's probably a bit meaner on the people lower than him, like Berahino, So and not Gibson because we haven't seen him, but Lang is still got the sort of like, he's got the blessing of optimism to be higher there. Okay, so that's why I put him in 12th, but I can't put him any higher. I could have potentially put him lower because I've not seen enough from him. But I'm going off reputation and kind of like that flash we saw in his first appearance there. It's difficult. Wings in 11th for me.
Yeah.
So first, he's been all right. But from what I heard and what I'd seen of him last season, he's disappointed me a little bit so far. I thought he'd be much more solid than he has been. And he has been better in recent matches that we've seen him in, but I just think his overall season has not lived up to it fully for me so far. In 10th, I've got Brown. Now, Brown has not been great. He's been all right in earlier matches. He's got the hungry attitude of knocking on the manager's door, that sort of thing. He wants to play matches. Him and Shadipo have both. Him, Shadipo, So I think they've all sort of talked about wanting to play more. I don't know who's done it publicly or not. But Brown, in terms of a signing, ranking the signing, he's 22 years old. This was a really good free transfer, He's somebody that's got to get that experience in there. And though he's not impressed me that much this season, he gets the 10th spot on the ranking because he has time and he's young and it's a good bit of business in my eyes. We'll see how he kicks on and see if he can get some game time and be that. Because we've got ageing fullbacks.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. In 9th, I've got Byers. I think Byers could have done more, but he's also been fairly solid when we've seen him, and he's a good age and he was a good signing, gives us that depth in midfield. Where a lot of us were saying, is he going to replace Bannon? I don't think he's going to be that, personally, but I think he's been a decent signing in that regard, but he's 9th for me. In 8th, I've got Shadipo. The injury didn't help. He'd have probably been a little bit higher, but he has been good. In flashes, he's been very good. But it's the inconsistency that doesn't get him higher there for me. He's 8th for me. In 7th, I've got Johnson. Now, this would have been much lower a few matches ago, but he's getting pretty solid, Johnson. you know.
And not in his natural position.
In that back three, he's playing very well. That makeshift back three, you know, we've not even mentioned Patterson going at centre-back, which is mental,
Insane.
you know, but FIFA again. But Johnson's impressed me recently. He wasn't impressing me, so that's how quickly football can change. Early October, I wasn't impressed.
No.
Now, he's got 7th for me, and that could be even higher if he can kick on and keep it consistent throughout the season. In 6th, I've got Jack Hunt, because Jack Hunt, that's probably quite high for me, actually, considering I've been like, we don't even need him. We don't even need him. But he is still a very good fullback. You know, he can just get into trouble sometimes, and that's my issue with it, because we've got Palmer. I felt like we didn't need Hunt, you know, because it would push Palmer out to the left, which we have found it's happened quite a lot this season, but now we've got this back three sort of situation. But I do think Hunt's been quite solid. Apart from clangers, which is a ridiculous statement, he's been great, but the clangers, apart from where he's been sat on his arse a couple of times, you know, by some players, he's still showing signs of being the Jack Hunt we all used to know and love, you know? So, 6th for me. Top 5's obviously going to be tricky, because this is where you get into the tail end of the decent signings. This is probably controversial in itself, but in 5th, I've got Corbinu, right? So, Corbinu breaches the top 5, but he doesn't get any higher for me because of his decision-making, right? I like his attitude towards, you know, trying things, and he's not afraid to try things, but some of his decision-making in those, you know, the 1-alls and those 2-alls, I've been like, mate, that's when you should have passed. He always tries for the screamer, which I love, right? But when we need results, that's where he needs a bit more maturity to his game. And he'll get that. That's why he's on loan, you know? He's 19.
At the end of the day, 19, I was going to say, the kid.
Exactly. He'll get that. But he gets top 5. We'll see if that can be the number 1 by the end of the season. Now, it's interesting because I think a lot of people put these the other way around because they don't really see this guy as the player over Corbinu. But for me, he is. I've put Canberry in 4th because I think he's been it's really hard to pick between them, but like Canberry for me, we talked about his goals, his 4 goals in those appearances, you know, not many starts, 8 starts. And
what he does off the ball, though, I like.
His movement's very good. I quite like the way he can hold it up and move. He's quite technical. I think he's a bit of a gem of a signing if he can keep that consistency up there. Now, I've been a bit more kind to my number 3 than you had. You were very kind, but I've been even kind in putting him here. I've got Adeniran in 3rd. Because when Adeniran has played, Jesus Christ, man. Like, his surging runs, the link up with Gregory in the midfield and, you know, the attack. We want that in our team. And Adeniran, at his age, it's his age for me here and his composure with it. Now, his injuries obviously are a worry, but it's his composure with the attack there. I just think he gets top 3 for me. He gets 3rd. Right. Excuse me. Right. 2nd, I've got Peacock Farrell.
Right.
He could go lower for me, though, because he's dropped some absolute clangers this season. He just happens to have gone on really good form for the past few matches before the mid-season review. He started the season, we all loved him. And then he fell off a cliff with his form, dropping individual errors. He's cost us probably about 9 points. And you can't overlook that. And I don't really want to put him in 2nd because of that. But he's also saved us points. So does it balance out? The penalty saves, the big saves in matches.
What were you saying a couple of weeks ago? He got no international duty. He now needs to do performance to keep his number 1 spot.
Yeah, exactly.
His head probably a bit closer to club football than it is international.
Yeah. Then at the top of the chain, I've got Gregory. You can't not. Gregory's got 8 goals for us.
Yeah.
You know, Gregory has embodied everything that Wednesday is. And
Wednesday is and what needed.
Yeah, what we need. At 33 years old, he could become a club legend if he gets this club promoted.
Yeah.
Because I know that sounds ridiculous because it's League One, but think about a lot of our recent club legends. The players we love are that team that got us up.
Yeah, very much so.
So Gregory does top the chart there for me. No, that was a fun little activity. We hadn't done activities like this for a while. We used to do it all the time. Remember the big 3-hour specials back when we had time because we were locked in our houses. Right. So, I want to have a quick look. Oh, God. So, I did a predictions video at the start of the season, and I want to see how it's faring so far. I'll also do a proper reaction at the end of the season. But if you are new to my channel, go Dexterity Box on YouTube if you are an audio listener. I do predictions for the league that Wednesday are in every season. Now, I'll admit I didn't know too much about League One. I knew a fair bit. I didn't know a lot. So this was a bit of a blind one for me, and I had to do a lot of research digging into this and look at stats and look at signings and look at just general chat to fans and things to do this. My predictions aren't the worst thing in the world, I don't think, but they're also not the best.
Depends which fan base you're talking to.
It does. We'll go for my bottom four. So my bottom four, I had Morecambe at the bottom, Cambridge United in 23rd, AFC Wimbledon in 22nd, and Shrewsbury Town in 21st. One of those teams is in the bottom four.
Yep.
Which isn't bad at this stage of the season, especially because two of them are only just hovering above it.
But also the one that's in the bottom four did have a great start.
Yeah, Morecambe. I put Morecambe at the bottom of the league. They are actually fourth from bottom, but they are in the relegation zone. Shrewsbury, who I had in 21st, are 20th, by the way. So that's not too bad. Yep. I also had AFC Wimbledon down there. They're in 17th. They're in 32 points, I think. Nope, they're not the points. Sorry, I'm looking at something different. They are on 25 points. So there is a bit, they are 6 points there. But Shrewsbury are actually joint. I technically have Shrewsbury in the right position because they're joint on points with Morecambe. So I've got, let's give me a 1.5 down that bottom end. Now my 20 to 15 were Cheltenham, Burton, Fleetwood, Accrington Stanley, Crewe and Gillingham. Now Crewe are rock bottom. I had Crewe in 16th because I didn't know too much about Crewe, probably. Let's have a look. Did I get any of those right? Fleetwood are in 19th. I had them in 18th. That's not bad, currently. Yep.
They've also done something very weird today. They've now got a South African Fleetwood team and a Dubai Fleetwood team. They've done like an international branch off thing. It's very strange.
That is a little bit odd. I didn't get any of the others right, though, in there. So far, there is still shifting. I'll do a proper reactions at the end, but I have got one in that pack. The others that Cambridge are doing better than I thought they were going to do. Where did I have Cheltenham? Where are Cheltenham?
The 14th.
Oh, yeah, I had them in 20th. It's going to be interesting to see these at the end of the season. But yeah, let's go for the next 5. So my 14th is so bad. In 14th, I have Plymouth. Oh, God.
He's just looking for him. I'm going, oh, no.
In 13th, I had Wigan. In 12th, I had Portsmouth. In 11th, I had MK Dons. And in 10th, I had Bolton Wanderers. I've got one in this pack again. Bolton Wanderers.
Yeah.
Accrington Stanley at 10th. Yeah, I thought Bolton were going to kick on a little bit more actually this season. I thought they were going to momentum their way up.
Well, they were doing well up until when their manager said we're one of the best teams in the league, and that's your team talk done. You just write that on the whiteboard. That's all you need to know. And middle of the season, had a falling out with the captain and manager. He transfers him the next day to Stockport.
Yeah. In fairness, actually, if you're looking at these in terms of the overall table, I've only got like MK Dons and Portsmouth out by about 3 or 4 spaces. So there's time for movement there, really. So that's not too bad here. But I will look at the let's look at 10 to 7th. No, 9th to 7th, sorry. I had Donny in 9th. MK Dons are there, by the way. I had Charlton in 8th. Again, another one that's a few spaces out. Charlton are only actually 6 points. It's a 6-point sway there currently. And in 7th, I had Rotherham. And Wednesday are in 7th.
Yep.
Now, Doncaster Rovers at 9th. I actually said in the video that I want to put them lower because I think they're going to really struggle this season. But I also thought that like they've been, you know, you're baiting a lot of people there if you do that. So I gave them the benefit of the doubt, and they are in. Let me just check, 23rd. So it's not going great for them so far. I think Portsmouth are doing all right in 8th, obviously. Wednesday are in 7th. This is where we get into the point, though, right? Where I've obviously got Rotherham fans. I've got, you know, other fans coming in going, looking at these predictions going, these are going well, sort of thing. And I'm like, right, I had Rotherham in 7th. Wednesday are in 7th. But they're joint on points with 6th. 2 points off 5th. 5 points off 4th, 3rd, and 2nd, and 7 points off top. Yeah. So that's how close it is mid-season. That's the point. There's 7 points can be. We could swap places with Rotherham still, you know.
Yep.
Let's go for my 6 to 3, shall we? I got Wycombe Wanderers, Sunderland. Sunderland were in 5th, Oxford United in 4th, and Lincoln City in 3rd. Lincoln have been the big disappointment for me this season. 18th, obviously. Really struggling our Lincoln.
You got Oxford pretty much close.
I did very well with the top, 3 to 6, because 6th is Plymouth. I had Wycombe. Wycombe are in 4th. 5th, I had Sunderland. Sunderland are in 3rd. 4th, I had Oxford. Oxford are in 5th. And then obviously Lincoln was my one. Plymouth were the one that caught me out.
Yeah.
So my up there is not too bad so far. Oh, it gets worse. Second, are currently Wigan Athletic. I had Sheffield Wednesday. I thought we'd creep automatics, but the gel wasn't early enough. It could still happen, but the gel's not being there. Top, I had Ipswich Town, and so did so many other people now talking about it. And what has happened to Ipswich Town? 12th.
Ipswich Town is a case of this is the first time under new ownership under a while. So they got taken over just before the season.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Cook came in, didn't really do the job they were all hoping to do because they sacked him. I think McKenna from Manchester United, one of the assistants, is apparently about to get the Ipswich job.
Yeah, I've heard
which
that
is interesting how they do that. And a lot of players. I think they had 19 players in.
It's just been a gel thing, hasn't it? You know, we've had our fair share of it, and that is the sign of it. But they're not awful so far, them, actually. There's a few clangers in there, as there is every season, but I do think we'll find, like, my last season's championship predictions were good, actually. They were pretty spot on, apart from Wednesday. But that's obviously, there's always going to be the bias in there. But no, I'm happy with them so far. It'd be interesting to see, because obviously when we do the end of the season, I'll do the reaction. So
the thing is, you're going to be interested to see what happens with the likes of Donny and stuff like that, because Donny is still managerless.
Yeah.
Ipswich is still managerless. The talk that Gillian could get rid of Evans soon. There's some clubs that are looking at pulling the trigger on managers, and you might get that new manager bounce that gives them that momentum.
And also, Plymouth are crashing.
Yeah.
So I had them in 14th. There's a chance they get 14th, right? Their last 5 matches are 4 losses and a draw. So
that could happen.
There's still half a season.
Also, remember, we're coming into January. What normally happens in League One, if you've got a striker that's on form, they go to the Championship. If you've got a player on form, they go to the Championship.
I think we're all right with losing Lee Gregory, though, because he's 33. You know, that's the good thing about having a striker that's older that's in form.
Yeah.
Because there's more risk in taking them, because if they don't adapt, they haven't got a future really in the sport to adapt.
Look at if Morecambe lose Stockton as a classic example. If they lose him, if he doesn't go, they don't win. There isn't another talisman.
Yeah.
So you could see Ryan Lowe-Preston raid Plymouth for players? Because he knows what the financial situation is. So he might be able to put good deals in front of them to say, there you go.
Yeah, he could. How do you feel about us going forward then? So that's been our mid-season review, talking about all that sort of stuff.
I just want to see us get a little bit more... I want to see us get players back fit. And I want to see us see what we can do in January in terms of bringing in a defender. And possibly... It's a defender and possibly maybe another forward for me.
Okay.
But it getting that back line a bit more solid, because midfield was stacked with players. But if we can start converting these chances that we keep doing, we'll be up there at the end of the season. Because we're starting to put these silly little performances away and we're starting to grind results out. Our big thing is when we come against a Morecambe, a Cambridge, we still got that it's only Morecambe mentality. And it's got to be every team is a Man City and we're out there to beat them mentality instead of this little old team against big old Wednesday, because they don't think that way. They come to us and go, it's massive Wednesday, we're going to put a good showing out.
No, yeah, I agree. I'm optimistic about the rest of the season, if it can actually be played. We'll see what happens.
Yes.
But it's been good to just talk football, and chat about it and not have to worry about anything topical. We got quite topical with all the COVID stuff at the start, but all that football knowledge, You will not see another episode till after the Yule now. So
no.
Have a very Merry Christmas and a happy... No, well, I might... you might hear from me before New Year, but it depends if the writings have been there. If not, you won't. But we will see what happens. But anyway, have a lovely Christmas.
Well, from me, have a lovely Christmas and a happy New Year. And just remember, spend time with your loved ones, be safe, and we'll all be back talking about Wednesday at the end of the...
January, some point in January. We'll be there. So 2022, back to some normality of football and talking, we think. But yeah, that's been it for episode 48 of the Talking Wednesday podcast. Thank you very much as always for watching. Make sure you leave us some Christmas reviews would be lovely, guys. If you could leave us some reviews. But we will leave that one there, and we will see you in the next episode of Talking Wednesday.
See ya.